He looked different. He had a different outfit on. He was kind of a short, stocky guy. Jet black mustache, jet black sunglasses. This guy's like a fucking Bond villain. And that's when we knew we were in the shit.
What was I to do? What was I to do?
Back in 2012, I was just out of college. I just finished my first major feature-length documentary, Dignity Harbor, which was, becoming a minor success. And I was found and asked to be the cinematographer for a documentary crew that was going down to Nicaragua to cover the story of this man who was just a horrible person, who was a war criminal, a murderer, a drug smuggler, all this bad stuff, who had turned his life around to, dedicate his life to helping the cause of human trafficking and saving, women and children's lives. It was a redemption story. And I was asked to do this, and, I was just a young guy and, loved to work, loved to travel, and this had me written all over it, and I was excited to jump on it. I don't even think I got paid anything for the gig, but, a free airfare and trip to a foreign country to cover an important story. I was in. This was awesome. So fast forward about a year, and here I am with this team down in Nicaragua. And, this is the first time I was in a country outside of the U.S., let alone a third world country. I spent some time in the homeless camps here, but nothing like this. I've never seen poverty, never seen extreme poverty like this. It was very strange because it was so beautiful. It was like a tropical paradise, just green like you've never seen before, and just a climate that I've never been in. But all of that was juxtaposed to this third world suffering like this, just poverty like I've never seen before. I feel like the biggest takeaway I got from this trip was, despite the extreme poverty, despite the living conditions these people were in, they were happier. They seemed to be happier than the people that I knew, my peer group in the States. Our generation just seemed to be so miserable compared to these people who actually had nothing, who was living almost in the streets, in shanty houses, burning their trash in their ditch out front of their house. These people were smiling. These people were just the most friendly and beautiful people that I had ever met. And I found that the one thing that was missing was that they didn't have their texts or their Facebook. They had their family, they had their religion, and that was almost all they had. Yet they were happier than our people back home. And that was very, very compelling to me, and something I noticed right away. The day before the shit hit the fan, is probably day 5. And, we had been going pretty hard for those 5 days. And by then we had gotten into kind of a routine. We were pulling 12 to 13 hour days or more. Just getting up, going to the locations, getting the interviews, catching your B-roll, just doing what you do. And by then we were, had a system, and we were very meticulous and very, efficient in our time management. And we were driving around the neighborhood of El Presidente Daniel Ortega, who was the, kind of the dictator who stole the election and kind of rekindling some of the old Contra and Sandinista, fire between the two factions. And tensions were rising, and it's kind of, a little bit of it is popping today down there if you watch the news, but he was afraid enough to have armed guards walk in the neighborhood, full military and, AKs, and we're driving around watching this and like, holy cow. Well, the producers are talking and they're saying, we need some military footage, this is a military story. He's had, our character had a, military background. We need some military footage. How are we going to do this without some military B-roll? Let's get these guys walking around. And I didn't like that idea. The last thing we want to do is, get attention from the president of the country. So I didn't like that idea. But our bodyguard, who I called Jose Cuervo, he said he knew some people in a good spot that might be able to help us get into a kind of a military base kind of a thing. And, you know, I was still kind of hesitant about the whole thing, but, you know, if this guy's got a contact and he's comfortable with it, let's do it. So the next morning we go over through the hills, through the countryside to the mountains, and end up at this, you know, kind of a military looking place. There's an archway that says Sandinistas. There was a tank over here, and, you know, it looked like a military base, some people walking around, and, you know, the director and I jump out of the car with our cameras and just, without even thinking, just, you know, we're here, let's do our job. And we did our job for, you know, just a couple of minutes, and all of a sudden there's one guy coming over with an AK, and a couple more guys come over, and then all of a sudden we're surrounded by guys in fatigues and armed to the teeth. One of the guys taking pictures, and I think there was 5 of them. And it was kind of looking around at our guys. It was me, the audio guy, the director, and Jose Cuervo. And Jose's talking to these guys. These guys never fucking heard of Jose. He was some stranger. They didn't know shit. Because of him, now we're in this. Because of him, we were the one that was out filming. But, you know, we're in the situation regardless, whatever's going on. We were in this situation, surrounded by these armed guys. They're all talking Spanish, and the director and I don't hardly know Spanish. I could ask you where your bathroom was, is about all I knew. Well, then while this is happening, this 6th guy comes in. He kind of breaks his way through the other guys. He, you know, it looked different. He had a different outfit on. He was kind of a short, stocky guy. Jet black mustache, jet black sunglasses, and I swear to God, this guy's like a fucking Bond villain. He had a golden canine tooth. I swear to God. And that's when we knew we were in the shit. And they were speaking in Spanish, and our audio guy, who spoke Spanish as well, is from Puerto Rico. He was kind of, you know, telling them what we were doing, and you know, trying to tell them what was going on. So the guards have now kind of gone off a little bit, and we've kind of got a private moment. And I go over to our audio guy. He's like, "So what did you tell these guys?" And he says, "Oh, I told him we're working, you know, we're doing a historical documentary on Nicaragua. And, you know, Sandinista in the military is part of the history, so we're just here, you know, getting some pictures of the military for our history doc." And I was like, "Great, that's a great answer, good." So now I know what the story was. Well, I also realized that the producers are on the bus separate from us, and there's 2 guards talking to them. So now I'm thinking, okay, God, we got to get our story straight, because, you know, we're in this situation where we could be, you know, these guys wouldn't think twice of shooting an American in the head twice and rolling them down the hill, you know. I'm telling you, the Bond villain guy, kind of looked like Saddam. He walks over at the end of our line and starts asking for passports. And I had in my camera bag a photocopy of my passport. My real passport was on the bus. Well, I couldn't get up and run and get up there. I didn't want to get shot. And he gets to me and he says, "Your passport?" And I handed him my papers that I had. And he looks at them and he looks at me and he's like, "This is not passport." And I was like, "Okay, hey, my passport's on the bus. Can I go get it?" And I go run over there. And the producers were on the bus, and they were now isolated. They had been questioned by a separate couple of guards. So I went up there and asked, fuck, I messed the story up. Fuck. And I ran up into the bus, and by then the guards had left. So I was on the bus with the producers. And I looked at them and I said, what the fuck did you tell them? And they said, "We were here filming for our church." And that's when I was like, it's over. We're going to be abducted abroad. We're going to be, you know, shot and rolled into the ditch. I'm starting to shake just talking about it. I thought it was over. My family, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm never going to see my family again. What the fuck? I mean, FUBAR is the word, I believe. And walked out, gave him my passport, just stewing in my own fear. And he looks, I swear to God, he looks at me and he says, "Are you scared?" And I said no, with like a stone cold face. But I mean, that was a lie. Yeah, I'm sure he knew that. But we sat there in the heat for about 10, 15 minutes as they, talked amongst themselves. Then they finally let us on the bus, and I just thought it was over. So the Bond villain man, along with one other soldier, gets up on the bus with us. We're all waiting and watching to see what's going to happen. He stands up and he says, "We are sorry we have met under these circumstances. We hope you enjoy your stay in Nicaragua. You are free to go." And he said it in a way that you weren't sure if he was sincere or if he was, playing the Bond villain, was going to walk away and we were just going to get obliterated by AK-47s. And then we just drove off. And, we didn't know if we should flee the country, should we keep going? What does this mean? We had some meetings about it and, decided that we just continue on like nothing had happened. Well, I thought if they were going to get us, it would have been at night at our, where we were staying. And, I had an extra glass of Florida Cognac rum, which I still have in my bar to this day. I mean, this stuff is the best rum I ever had, the best rum and Coke that you'll ever have, so I can't recommend it enough. Had an extra glass of that night and laying in the hammock trying to rest my weary soul, and went to bed that night, got up the next day, started working again, and nothing ever happened. And there you have it. I think that's probably the craziest story well, at least the craziest, the most potential for disaster story I've got. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back for some more. Until then, go out and have yourself your own stories, and I'll see you next time.